Good evening, all. Welcome to tonight's licensing subcommittee meeting. The meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. My name is Councillor Natalia Perez, and I will be chairing tonight's meeting. If I lose connection and can't reconnect, Councillor Fiona Smith will take over for me. I'd like to remind all participants of a few housekeeping points. Please keep your microphones muted unless you're speaking. When prompted, you may indicate you wish to speak, but please wait until I call on you before speaking fully. I also ask that members keep their questions and comments brief and to the point, please. If any councillor leaves the meeting or loses connection during an item, we will pause and wait a few minutes for them to reconnect. If a councillor is not present for a substantial part of the discussion of an item, they will not be included in the deliberations. The quorum for this meeting is 2 members of the committee. If we have fewer than 2 members in attendance, I will have to adjourn the meeting. And now move on to item number 1 on the agenda. Apologies for absence, and we have no apologies this evening. Agenda item number 2, roll call and declaration of interests. I will now do a roll call to confirm the members in attendance. When called on, please say present and note any declarations of interest. Councillor Smith?
Present.
Councillor Thorley?
Present, Chair.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3, Snowflake Ice Cream Limited, 27 Overstone Road, London W60AD. Before we begin, I'd like to highlight that in addition to the main agenda published on the 24th of September 2021, a supplementary agenda was published on the 30th of September 2021. I'd like to ask everyone participating to please introduce yourself as I call on you. We should have with us the applicant, Ms. Noemi Raczkowski.
Yes, hi, I'm Noemi Raczkowski, Director for Snowflake Ice Cream.
Thank you. The Council's licensing officer, Ms. Maria Dimitru.
Present, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Council's licensing officer, Lisa White.
Present, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. The Council's legal officer, Gerta Kudvelaj.
Present, good evening, Chair.
Good evening. Mr. Christopher Road, resident speaking in objection. Mr. Christopher Road. Mr. Christopher Road, can you hear me, please? I can see him on the screen, so I hope that he can hear us. I'll now move on to Councillor PJ Murphy, Ward Councillor. Councillor Murphy.
Good evening, Chair.
Thank you. Good evening. Before we consider the application today, please may I quickly explain the procedure the committee will follow. We will hear from the following. The licensing officer will introduce the application, then the resident or residents which have made written representations in objection. We'll ask Mr. Christopher Road to speak. And also followed by Councillor PJ Murphy. And then finally, we will invite the applicant, Ms. Noemi Raczkowski. Usually, each party will address the committee once for a maximum of 5 minutes. Following the presentation by all parties, the committee may ask questions of any party or other person present at the hearing. No party has the right to ask questions of any other party at any time during the hearing. Following the presentation and questioning, each party will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to sum up their case or representation. The committee will then retire for deliberations. Upon its return, I will announce the committee's decision. Can I ask licensing officer, Ms. Maria Dimitru, to please introduce the application?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, of course. On the 9th of August, Mr. Nixon submitted an application on behalf of Snowflake Ice Cream Ltd. for a premises license to be granted in respect of the premises located at 27 Overstone Road. The applicant has applied for a new premises license for the sale of alcohol off the premises only, Monday to Sunday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Based on the application form, the premises will not be open to members of the public. The licensing section received 7 objections in total, 1 from Councillor Murphy and 6 from local residents. On the 21st of September, following correspondence received from the Noise and Nuisance Authority, the applicant agreed to add 2 extra conditions to their license if granted. Following this agreement, Noise and Nuisance has confirmed the withdrawal of their representation. On the 27th of September, following correspondence received from Mr. Nixon, the applicant agreed to further amend their license application to add 1 additional condition. Based on this amendment, any sale of alcoholic ice cream will be for delivery only, and no callers will be able to visit the premises. I can confirm that all interested parties have been informed of this amendment. A copy of any relevant correspondence and any additional comments has been published as part of the supplementary agenda on the 30th of September and has been circulated to all. Nothing further from licensing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dimitru. I would now like to invite representations and objections from local residents. I have Mr. Christopher Road, who I understand is also representing Revanta Rajapaksky. Mr. Road, can you hear me? Mr. Christopher Road, this is your opportunity, please, to speak. Are you with us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we
Thank
can.
you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
I have lived in Overston Road for 6 years. This is a very beautiful street with a very large number of residents, and the great majority are in private occupation. We have a pub at one end of the road, the Dartmouth Castle. We have a small accountant's office, and we have the St. John's Ambulance Brigade with a training facility in the street. That is all. No house or flat, as far as I'm aware, has any commercial activity taking place from it. The idea that there is going to be a takeaway ice cream business run from a tiny first floor flat at number 27, to me, is quite incredible. I cannot conceive of a situation in which this would not disrupt the life of the street. We have in Hammersmith Grove very clear evidence from the shops that exist there of the constant coming and going of motorbikes, the noise from their intercoms when they're talking, the idea that there is going to be an equivalent disruption in this street until late at night, every single night of the week, is frankly completely unacceptable. And I know that I speak also on behalf of my neighbour, Revanta, who's closer to it than I am. He has a very small child. He is very concerned about the noise and about the precedent this will set. And I have to agree that if the committee agree to this application, it will definitely set a precedent. You will not be able to object to anyone else opening up a business in this already very crowded street. We are trying as residents to improve the street. We've had trees planted. We have a local gardening group that looks after the beds that are around trees. We are engaged at the moment in something called Bretta Brackenbury, an initiative to improve the street. I'm afraid to say that I cannot see any way in which this business, worthy though it may be in itself, can do anything to improve the life of the street. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Road. I would now like to invite Councillor PJ Murphy, please.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank the applicant for changing some of the conditions behind their application as to having no collections. I think that's a very generous thing for them to do. However, the fact remains that this is a residential street. As Christopher's just said, that there are really no other businesses there. There's the Dartmouth Council right down at the very end of it. There's a small accountancy on the corner of another street, and then there's the training centre for the British Red Cross, or sorry, St. John's Ambulance. So it is 100% residential. What we're asked here is to open up a licensed premises. and a licensed premises in a residential flat. And the two are just incongruous. You cannot have a licensed premises in a residential flat. It is turning a residential flat into a manufacturing centre. It's going to be manufacturing alcoholic ice cream for delivery. We don't know, as the business gets more popular, how frequently the exit deliveries will be, but I would imagine that we will see a number of entrances and exits from this particular house, going up and down the stairs, disturbing people as they then go off to deliver, and also disturbing the local residents until late at night. And I see that the applicant has said that deliveries are going to be in the evening, but it's the evening when that street is at its most quietest, and we don't want additional noise in that area. And we don't want the potential, and it is a small potential, I admit, for people to come to the flat thinking that it is selling alcoholic beverage for them to purchase and take away. I stress that a lot of the things that I said in my application. It's a residential street, it's a residential flat, it's not a manufacturing centre, and it should not be a licensed premises. So on those basis, or on that basis, I'll ask this committee to reject the application because it's unsuitable for that particular location. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murphy. I would now like to invite the applicant, Noemi Rakowski, please, to address the comments which have been previously made. If you can please keep your remarks concise, that would be appreciated. You have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you. I understand many of the objections are centered around the potential disruptions caused by the frequent delivery drivers and members of the public collecting from the premises. This is exactly why I added the latest condition to my proposal. So this would no longer be a factor, as there will be no collection whatsoever from the property. Any delivery will be made by ourselves, and as agreed with the noise and nuisance officer, anything after 6 p.m. would be done by foot, by bicycle, or any electric vehicle, as an attempt to reduce the noise to a very minimum. My goal is not to disrupt anyone's lives. I love the street, it's wonderful. I love the residential side of it. As for the deliveries for our ingredients, that would be happening 3 times a week at a maximum. So that's comparable to a shared flat ordering their groceries online, for example. And furthermore, I can easily arrange for my suppliers to come with their deliveries within regular business hours on weekdays. Sorry. As for the equipment that we use for the production, this is a small scale production. I'm not planning to sell to businesses, other businesses, or in big amounts. So when buying the equipment, I kept that in mind, that I had to keep the noise to a minimum. The ice cream machine is practically silent, and all I have other than that is a freezer, which is what is in every house or flat on the street anyway. So I don't think that's much of an issue regarding the noise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rakowski, and also for your remarks, which you've concise, appreciated. Okay, can I ask each committee member please to ask questions of any party about the application and issues that have been raised this evening? Councillor Smith and Councillor Thorley. Councillor Smith, is your hand up?
Yeah, I'd like to ask some questions, Chair. Thank you to the applicant for your application and your explanations. I do have a few things to ask. So I understand, or I might be incorrect, that some third-party delivery agents will be used. Do you have any in mind, and are you cognizant of their age verification processes? How will that work with your business?
So with that latest addition condition to my application, I decided to no longer through a third-party delivery service, because I couldn't guarantee that they would use electric vehicles or bicycles after a certain time. So any order I get will be online at least a few days before delivery day, so I can ask for a declaration that the person buying is over 18, and I can check an ID myself when delivering. So I will make sure that everything is in order.
So are you going to be delivering on foot, on electric scooter, etc., by yourself and checking IDs yourself and taking orders and so forth?
Yes. So far, this is a very small structure. It's just me. My partner will come join me in the business when need be, when we start to pick up a bit more. But at the time being, it will be just me.
Okay. Thanks for that. That I obviously misunderstood in the beginning, but that's a lot clearer for me. And just as regards your flat, really silly question. Gather from the plans, it's a first floor flat. So does that mean, there's a ground floor beneath? Are there people above you, to the side? What are the arrangements like where your building is as regards your neighbours?
So we do have upstairs neighbours. I believe it's 5 of them, and there's 3 people below us.
Okay, and just out, actually no, sorry, my second question is redundant. Never mind. I was going to ask about buzzers and things, but you're taking care of that. And I suppose finally, what does your business have in mind? Is it sort of catering for large scale events, for weddings, that kind of thing, or is it more sort of ad hoc? What sort of quantities are you going to be making and delivering in this business?
So I am hoping to cater for events such as birthday parties, dinner parties, weddings, those sort of things, which means I will go out for delivery less often. It will just be bigger quantity, which I think also plays into the noise, reducing the noise with the deliveries, because it won't be people coming and going a lot. Even myself won't be coming and going a lot. It probably won't be more than once a day, and that's being very optimistic. So it will be larger amounts, but less deliveries.
And one more, just a bit of a prying question to satisfy my curiosity. Have you run a business of this kind before? Not necessarily this model, but in terms of catering, in terms of alcohol. What have you done prior to this, if anything?
So I haven't run a business like this one or any other before, but I have worked in the catering industry for years now. I have supervised teams on large scales of people doing deliveries all over London as well. So I do have experience in that.
That's really useful, thank you. Nothing from me at this point, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Sorley?
No, nothing from me at this time, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sorley. A quick question, please, to Mr. Christopher Rode. We've heard this evening from the applicant how she has amended the application, and she will not be using third parties for the delivery. She's planning to do deliveries herself. Does this give you any reassurance? Have you changed your mind from what you've heard this evening?
She's going to expand.
I already commented in my supplementary reply that this lessens the problem, but it does not remove it. The basic principle, in my view, I'm sorry to say, is misguided. To have a business like that operating on a takeaway basis late at night, every single night of the week, is simply not appropriate for a residential area. And she can't restrict herself to nothing. It would be far better if she went to a place that was not sensitive, as our street is, and went to a normal business area where none of this would apply. She has chosen her own flat on the first floor in a highly populated area, and those two things do not mix. I'm sorry, that is the beginning and end of it.
Thank you. Ms. Rakowski, quick question, please. You had various objections to your application, also from a local councillor representing the residents that are concerned and have objected as well. Have you considered an alternative business area, as alluded to Mr. Rode?
Yes, I have, and it's still something I'm planning to do a bit later down the line. This is just a starting point for me, hopefully, and I'm hoping to get in business with potentially pubs around the area, or getting a ghost kitchen, but as a different investment. It's quite a high investment for a starting point, so that's why I'm hoping to be able to start here, so I can then develop and grow my business elsewhere.
Okay, thank you. Have we got Councillor Murphy with us? I cannot see him on my screen. I was going to ask him a question. Okay, are there any further questions, comments from members of the committee?
Not from me, Chair.
Chair, I think Councillor Murphy's lost connection here. I think he's just trying to reconnect now.
Yes, I can see a number. Councillor Murphy, are you with us?
I am again. Thank you. I was just kicked out of the meeting. It's my problem here. So
No problem.
I'm sorry if I missed a question or anything.
Yes, I was actually going to ask you for your thoughts, having heard the applicant and recent comments that have been made and amendments to the application that she has made.
Yeah, I have a massive amount of sympathy for the applicant. I really do. She's trying to get a business going from scratch, and that has my full admiration. And I think the real issue here is around, because of the accommodation she's made, the real issue here is about the impact of essentially a small manufacturing organization in a residential flat, in a conversion. And we all know, living in a converted flat, no matter how much you try, there's going to be an impact on your neighbors upstairs and downstairs, and on either side as well. I think also we need to think through of what's being applied for here is an alcohol license.
Councillor Murphy, are you with us? Councillor Murphy? You're frozen on my screen. Am I the only one that is seeing him frozen? Is he frozen?
Same for me, Chair.
Okay. I think he's got problems with his connection. Just going to give it a few seconds in case he manages to reconnect. He's no longer with us. Okay. If there are no further comments or questions, I would like to invite all parties to please sum up. Are there any further comments, questions? No? Okay. So,
back again, just in case you're asking.
Yes, Councillor Murphy, we're just about to sum up, but I'll give you an opportunity to sum up. So I was going to ask Ms. Dimitri, please, would you like to sum up, please, in the same order in which we're going to sum up in the same order in which we previously presented? Ms. Dimitri, have
Nothing further from licensing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Christopher Rowe, would you like to sum up, please? You have up to 3 minutes.
I have made my points and I'd have nothing further to add. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Murphy, would you like to sum up, or have you got something further to add, other comments?
I'm not sure how much of my my last interaction you heard before my broadband went down. Essentially, what I'm saying is this is a request for licensed premises in a residential house. That's inappropriate. A licensed premises or a license should not be granted for a business going to impact on its neighbours in a residential environment. And that's my main objection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murphy. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to sum up, please? Any further comments that you wish to add?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the committee will now retire to take its decisions. You're all welcome to remain in the meeting to hear the committee's decision. However, this may take some time. If you don't want to wait, a summary decision will be published on the council's website tomorrow morning. Can I please ask members to turn off their video and mute their microphones and join the private meeting room for deliberations, please? Okay. Thank you all for your patience. I'm now going to read out the decision following our deliberation. The committee has considered an application for the grant of a premises license under the Licensing Act 2003 for the sale of alcohol of the premises only. In summary, the committee has decided, after taking into account all of the individual circumstances of this case and the promotion of the 4 licensing objectives, to reject the application. A copy of this committee's full decision, including its reasons, will be sent to the parties forthwith. If the applicant is unhappy with the decision, they are entitled to appeal to the magistrate's court within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision. I'd like to thank everyone for attending or watching tonight's meeting. A summary of the decision will be published on our website tomorrow morning. And as mentioned, a full decision letter setting out the reasons for the decision will be sent to all parties in due course.